Welcome to the Movie Spoiler Club, the channel where you can watch movie, television, and streaming series within minutes. Today we're going to spoil the movie Captain Phillips, 2013. This movie story plot is about, in April 2009, the U.S. container ship, Maersk, Alabama, sails toward its destination on a day that seems like any other. Suddenly, Somali pirates race toward the vessel, climb aboard, and take everyone hostage. The captain of the ship, Richard Phillips, Tom Hanks, looks to protect his crew from the hostile invaders, and their leader Muse, Barkhead Abdi. The pirates are after millions of dollars, and Phillips must use his wits to make sure everyone survives and returns home safely. One dreary overcast morning in Vermont, Richard Phillips gets out of bed and prepares for the day ahead of him. He checks his emails, which include his itinerary. He meets his wife, Ange, outside in their driveway. There is little conversation until they are on their way to the airport. Nothing unusual between the two. They both seem unenthused and apathetic to their trip. Ange drops her husband off at the airport. They hug and kiss briefly. Their goodbye is nothing dramatic or drawn out because they both have done this many times before. Richard Phillips gets on a plane. As the scene cuts to Somalia, the sun beats down relentlessly across the desert dryland. There are people chatting and gathered together. Then a group of SUV roll into the village armed with weapons. Some people run in fear, while others stand up to greet the men. One person runs to a nearby home to find a man sleeping. His name is Muse, and his acquaintance is letting him know they're here. He rises from his slumber sluggishly. When Muse arrives out front, the men with rifles are shouting about making money on the water. They rile the crowd up and force them to the beach. There the captains select their crews. There are two crews who shout the names of their comrades, like a middle school dodgeball game that's gotten a little out of hand. They grab all their supplies and shove off into the water towards the mothership. Richard Phillips arrives at his destination at SALALAH port, OMAN. The shipyard is stocked high with freight cars stacked to the sky. He seems to know exactly where he is going. He climbs on board his ship and begins taking note of the condition of the ship and the crew. Phillips finds his way to the bridge and the control room. The men in the room acknowledge him with a quick hello and how are you. Phillips grabs some coffee and straight to business. One man named Shane goes over the designated route for their charter. It becomes clear that they are delivering cargo. But what makes this trip dangerous is they must travel around the Horn of Africa through the Somalian basin. Pirates have been known to prey on ships in those waters, so they will have to take extra precautions while they travel. In the evening out at sea, Captain Phillips checks his email and finds a forewarning that their ship will be entering dangerous territory. The email details what to do during an emergency and encourages additional security measures as necessary. Captain Phillips doesn't appear alarmed. As the captain, it is clear he is aware of the risks in this particular journey and just wants to prepare his ship and crew for whatever may be waiting for them. In the morning when he heads up to the bridge, he tells Shane that he would like to run drills all day. Unannounced, they sound the alarm and report that there is a possible pirate attack. The crew has to attach the water hoses and follow the emergency procedures. During the drill, the captain notices something suspicious on the radar. He peeks outside the room with his binoculars to take a better look. On second thought, they might be in actual danger. Captain Phillips calls for Shane on the radio for another opinion. Once Shane arrives and they both take a look at the radar, Captain Phillips makes the call. No more drills. The crew must prepare for the worst-case scenario. They call over the speaker that this is not a drill. There are two skiffs quickly approaching Maersk, Alabama, and they don't look friendly. Thankfully, the water hoses are already in position. Phillips calls down to the engine room and requests to push the engine harder. If they can increase their speed, they can put more distance between them and give the crew more time to prepare. The ship goes faster, and then Phillips wants to change their direction by 5 knots to see if the skiffs follow. The ship changes its course slightly and the skiffs mirror their move. Now Phillips is feeling some pressure. He picks up the phone to call maritime police. They make note of the situation, but other than that they can't really do anything. The operator reviews protocol with Phillips and assures him that even though this is suspect behavior, it is more likely they are just some fishermen. With the skiffs gaining on the freight ship, all eyes are on Captain Phillips. The maritime police were of little help, so it feels it is up to him to de-escalate this situation fast. He grabs his radio and begins talking to someone. The crew stares in confusion. Captain Phillips poorly disguises his voice to pretend he is a security guard patrolling the waters. Captain Phillips describes the situation and then the security detail affirms that they will keep a close eye and prepare for an airstrike. The Somalian pirates can hear this chatter on the radio. They can't be sure of who he is talking to, but they never prepared for an airstrike. One of the skiffs slows down and turns back. Muse shouts at them for their cowardice as they continue to ride full speed ahead. Captain Phillips is happy to see at least they got one of the boats to leave them alone. With no time to spare, they must increase their speed again, in an effort to put more distance between them. The waves that the Maersk Alabama creates as it sails through the ocean is too much for the little skiff trying to catch up. The last skiff is pushing its engine to the max until the skiff's engine dies. The boat sways in the waves as the Maersk Alabama sails away. Muse is frustrated and Captain Phillips can breathe a sigh of relief for a minute. The crew briefs in the common room. There is a lot of nervous and anxious chatter until Captain Phillips enters to discuss the situation. Phillips notifies the crew that these are indeed dangerous territories, but they are prepared. Today went better than it could have gone. Therefore, if they run into another issue, they will continue to follow procedure and shouldn't worry too much. The crew is instructed to work doubles for the remainder of the trip in order to maintain security. The crew isn't satisfied with the captain's words and threaten to quit. Phillips argues that they knew what job they signed up for, and if they want to break their contracts without pay, they can meet him in his office. The crew grumbles but concedes. The next morning, Phillips doesn't feel any less stressed. He gets a call on the radio immediately to brief in the bridge. The skiff is back and gaining on them quickly. Phillips pulls the alarm and orders the crew to turn on the water hoses. The Somalians speed in closer and use their radio to communicate with Maersk Alabama. Muse tries to assure the Maersk that they are the Somalian Coast Guard. They need the ship to cut their engine for a routine check. Captain Phillips doesn't believe that for a second. He calls down to the engine room and orders for the limits to be removed on their speed. The hoses fire and Muse repeats his message as clearly and directly as possible. When the ship doesn't stop, they begin to shoot at the people inside the bridge on the Maersk. One of the water hoses busts out of its locked position, leaving a gap for the pirates to climb on. Phillips orders Shane to reattach the water hose. The pirates have already noticed the opening and are taking their opportunity. The crew has been ordered to gather in the engine room. Shane is by himself trying to attach the water hose, while Captain Phillips tries to communicate with his assistant that controls the ship to make every effort to prevent the pirates from boarding. Once they are on board, it's a different game. Shane reattaches the water hose, but the pirates able to attach their ladder on the ship. Shane has to get out of there quickly. The pirates climb aboard one after the other. As a quiet settle on the ship, the crew is waiting in the engine room in silence. Phillips is locked inside the bridge. He tells the crew that there are 4 pirates aboard to remain hidden. The crew should break into small groups and hide behind the cylinders in the engine room. Do not move until he gives the signal. The pirates find the bridge and shoot the lock off. They come screaming in Somalian at Phillips and his team members. Captain Phillips and his crews raise their hands in the air and make every attempt to remain calm. Muse wants to know where the other crews are. Phillips has to play dumb and suggests helping Muse find all the crew. Muse doesn't trust Phillips and keeps reminding him not to play any tricks. No one will get hurt if you don't play game. Captain Phillips wishes that provided some sense of relief to the situation. The pirates want money, but they only have $30,000 in the safe. The pirates were hoping for millions. Muse wants to find the other crews, and Phillips decides to give him a tour, starting from the top and working their way down. This allows the crew plenty of time to prepare for an ambush. The tour doesn't last very long. Muse becomes annoyed. He senses a game and demands to be brought to the engine room. Phillips obliges but suggests they get some food and water first. The pirates must be thirsty and the engine room is very hot. They go to the kitchen to get some water. Then Phillips can tell someone from the crew had the same idea. He tries to carefully grab some water and food, then push the pirates out of the kitchen in an innocent way. Phillips makes a note to whoever is hiding that they are heading to the engine room. Muse doesn't want to waste any more time, so they all head to the engine room. The crew knows that one of the pirates is barefoot, so they throw some glass on the floor. When Phillips and the pirates reach the engine room, the pirate slices his foot on the glass. He groans in agony. Muse doesn't lose his focus. He tells Phillips he can take his man to the bridge for help, and he will continue to search for the crew. Phillips takes the injured pirate back to the bridge, while the crew waits in the shadows for Muse. They ambush Muse in the dark, and radio to the rest of the pirates that they need to leave peacefully and they can have their captain back. The pirates have the same idea. They take Phillips hostage and try to negotiate a trade. Phillips says they can have the money in the safe and their lifeboat. After several moments of deliberation, the pirates agree. Phillips leads them to the lifeboat. The crew unleashes Muse, and the pirates enter the lifeboat with Phillips in tow. Phillips remains calm as his crew unravels. He takes a moment to give brief instruction on how to operate the boat. Then there's a moment of uncertainty, as Phillips waits patiently to get the go-ahead that he can leave. Instead of a proper trade, They shove him further into the boat and slam the hatch shut. The boat slides off the ramp and into the sea. The pirates take off with Phillips as hostage. They are under the impression that by using Phillips, they can negotiate for more money. Phillips tries to tell them that it won't work. The Maersk Alabama follows the pirates from close distance, hoping to find a way to rescue their captain. The crew notifies the counteractive pirate task force, who then contacts the pirates. Muse assures Phillips again that everything is going to be okay, that he will not be harmed. The more he says it, the less Phillips believes him. The boat is sailing against the current, and their journey takes longer than expected. The crew becomes dehydrated, hungry, and most of all angry. Phillips continuously tries to help the pirates by offering medical assistance, offering advice to get some fresh air, and appeal to their demands as much as possible. He really wants to make it out of this alive. The Navy gets involved and work to find a way to peacefully surrender Phillips. Phillips knows that the Navy SEALs are involved. Things are serious and there's no way the pirates are going to get what they need. The pirates tie the hatch shut in an effort to keep anyone from coming in. The Navy convinces the pirates to allow Phillips to the front of the hatch, so that everyone can see he is alive and okay. Phillips makes an appearance and mentions that he is in seat 15. Phillips knows they aren't going to force entry one way or another. He doesn't want to become a casualty. At one point, Phillips makes an attempt to escape, but when he is captured back, they beat him relentlessly. The SEALs throw Phillips a shirt and ask him to put it on. The pirates shove Phillips back into the boat and throw the shirt on the floor. Negotiations continue and tensions rise. Half the crew knows things are going south, and Muse wants to believe he still has control over the situation. Muse gets pulled onto the Navy's boat, in the belief that he will go to meet the elders from his tribe. Patience is nearly gone. Phillips finds some paper and tries to write his family a letter. One of the pirates catches Phillips writing and ties him up. Another pirate blindfolds Phillips. They announce over the radio that they are going to shoot the captain now, that Muse is off the ship and everyone is pretty sure they lost this battle. The negotiator works desperately to halt the shooting. The pirate with the gun, Naji, wants to know Muse is okay, and the negotiators explain that he is with the elders. Naji doesn't believe there are any elders. He is growing more and more livid. As the SEALs continue to tow the boat, the Navy SEAL commander orders to halt the tow in order to get a clear shot. When the boat stops towing, the last target falls into view and the snipers hit every pirate in an instant. Captain Phillips is sure his life is over, but then a deathly silence chokes the room. His blindfold slips under his eye, and he can see one of the pirates dead in front of him. By some miracle, he has survived. He begins to scream and cry. Once rescued, he is taken to medical for an evaluation. Phillips is in shock and can barely speak. As he is evaluated, the woman keeps telling him everything is okay. Keep breathing. You're safe now. For the first time in a week, Phillips finally believes it. Muse is detained and brought to the U.S. for trial. After this incident, Captain Phillips was back on the water just 14 months later. As for Muse, he was convicted for his felonies and sentenced to 33 years in prison. Movie trivia. Do you know that in real life, one of the men from Richard Phillips' crew sued him after the incident? He claimed that Phillips was well aware of the danger in the Somali waters, but went in anyway, endangering all of them because he wanted to get the shipment to the harbor faster, even though the shipping company itself sent him a note advising him to avoid the Somali seas. This movie gets the movie rating of 7.8 from IMDb, Tomatometer rating of 93, and audience score of 89 from Rotten Tomatoes. Thank you for watching, and be sure to hit like, subscribe, share your thoughts in the comment section, and hit the notification bell for the new movie spoiler video every week.